I'm Connie Scott. I live at 392 McKell, and I'm going to speak about the ordinance 555, the anti-camping ordinance. This ordinance, and I am supporting its passage, is a very positive improvement over the trespassing law that we currently have. This ordinance, trespassing ordinance, permits immediate removal of the violator, and the property can be seized and destroyed immediately. That's wrong. That's personal property destroyed immediately. With ordinance 555, a notice is posted so that the camper is able to see he is breaking the ordinance and is given 3 days to move his personal property. The policeman is also supposed to notify a social worker who is on staff already at the police department to connect with this camper so the camper can be informed of where they can get shelter, where they can get help. They have 72 hours to move their items. They have an opportunity to retrieve their personal items because the police is really, they're extending themselves to collect these items after 3 days, take them to the police department and store them. Whether it's an envelope or a box, whatever the size is, I guess they'll have to do it. This ordinance provides the keeping of the personal items of the individual, as well as being connected to a social worker. That's really important. That's an improvement. The trespassing consequences for the ordinance that has been in effect, it's a 4th-degree misdemeanor in which the offender can be initially jailed. And that offense can be on the offender's record. Now, none of us want that because we want these people to get out of this pit that they're in, whether it's drugs, alcohol, need of education. We want them to get out of this homeless situation, and we don't want this on their record. So Ordinance 555 is improving this situation. It carries a consequence of a minor misdemeanor and does not include jail time. You have 72 hours to remove your property. This really is an improvement, and it's more helpful to the homeless. I know that this ordinance is not solving the problem. This is a huge problem across the country, and we have to deal with it in City Council, in the city of Chillicothe. I must compliment, I can't see her, the woman with Ross County Community Action. She has written grants. She has done much to help the homeless in this area. Now, I think there's something needs to be done through the continuous improvement process for the Chillicothe City. We have this wonderful comprehensive plan that we got an Appalachian grant for. We have all this money to improve the park, to improve to build buildings. We need a long-term plan, an improvement plan for the homeless. And
1 minute left.
oh no. Too much. Okay, speed up. We need to have this long-term plan that we know what's happening, what can happen. And if it doesn't exist, we need to create it. We need to have shelters, not only in the county, but we need them to be available. We need areas for these people who I understand want to camp. They have to camp because of emotional and medical problems, emotional, physical, mental problems. They need to be outside. So we need to have a long-term plan. And I look to the mayor and his leadership team to create this plan. And if it exists, let us know what it is. The churches of this area and the Ross County Community Action have done amazing things, feeding the poor, showering the poor, getting them clean clothes. But there's more to be done because there's so many homeless because of the situation. Okay, wrap it up.
Please.
Wrap it up.
Yes.
Okay, anyway, I salute the city council for looking for an opportunity to improve the trespassing ordinance. I look to the leadership to create a long-term plan to meet the various needs of the different groups of the homeless that we have in Chillicothe. And I thank you for giving me time to talk.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Nancy Schaefer, 1697 Lundback. I asked a question a week ago because I didn't understand why there was so much opposition to this ordinance. Because the vagrancy law that's in place would remove them, they would go to jail. So this seemed like a better option for people who were staying in tents and who are homeless. So I asked an attorney, and this is what he told me. He said, these are the facts that are being ignored regarding the public camping versus existing legislation for criminal trespass. If council were to completely discard the proposed anti-camping legislation and go back to criminal trespass laws, violators could be hit with a fourth-degree misdemeanor, which is punishable by up to 30 days in jail and up to a $250 fine plus court costs. There is no provision in the criminal trespass statute that gives law enforcement the ability to assist violators into receiving housing services that are more widely available in Chillicothe than anyone wants to talk about. The proposed legislation gives violators the opportunity to receive social services and assistance before any criminal penalty results. A potential violator gets a 72-hour notice to remove a campsite, and law enforcement shall notify local social services agencies of the need, location, and identity of those requiring services. No one wants to talk about the fact that the proposed legislation requires law enforcement to assist proposed violators in receiving social services. That is nowhere to be found in the existing criminal trespass statute. If and only if a person does not remove the campsite and does not avail themselves of available services will a citation be issued. Furthermore, the ultimate first and second penalty for a violation is a minor misdemeanor, which carries only a fine, no jail time, of up to $150. That is equivalent seriousness of a speeding ticket or minor traffic infraction. It simply does not get any lower in the category of offense in the state of Ohio. The committee that was tasked with putting this legislation together was appointed by the city council president. Not one of the committee members volunteered for this. Also, in the city park, both Chillicothe High School and Unionota High School use the park's tennis courts as their home courts. It is not uncommon during school-sanctioned tennis matches for coaches and parents to be faced with removing apparent camping people from the tennis court area and shelters to allow the tennis matches to take place without interruption. This directly impacts those events and the children that participate in them. There is not one person on the Chillicothe City Council who is undertaking this task with heartlessness or lack of compassion, and I thank you for that. The proposed legislation is directly opposed to that goal. The goal of the proposed legislation is to afford people in need of social services and give them 3 full days to take advantage of those services before a violation is ever filed. None of that exists with the current solution. So then I went on to do my own investigating, and I found out that 8 months ago the Supreme Court ruled that cities have the right to enforce bans limiting homeless people sleeping in public spaces. This legislation is not punished, but instead it allows people enough time to get their belongings without fearing that they get tossed. It also allows officials to offer them assistance in finding the help they need. And it also stops the piles of trash that is left behind when a tent city exists. The current legislation even lowers the fine by $100. Sleeping in the park is neither safe nor sanitary for anyone who resides inside our city limits, regardless of how long they have been there. And I'm asking, didn't the city just pay $35,000 to clean up a homeless camp that became so filthy that it became a risk to the citizens living in our community? Is that true?
They're billing the person that owns the property.
Was that the one on Charleston, right?
Yes.
That was the county. That was,
Okay, it was the
that
county.
was Parks.
That $35,000 could have been spent on a program that provided the homeless more choices. We as a community need to continue to focus on business development, job growth, and strong family presences in the core for community development. Thank you.